up? This is alertwolf here. Gonna bring you another review, and this one is of Blast of Tempest, episode 14. This one was called Happy New Year. Alright, and so this one's about basically, I'll just break this down simply, where this is about basically Mahiro being brought up to speed and then meeting, and the suspicions about Yoshino, and then meeting the first mage of Exodus that they found. You know, and so basically what happens is someone takes Mahiro into the next room. He sees some familiar faces. The spear user, Evangeline's boss. And they basically start explaining what's been going on. And basically this is what it is. So, no shock, no surprise, the princess has a crush on Mahiro. And she really likes him. So, ever since the devastation and tragedy, the princess and Mahiro, or not Mahiro, the princess and Yoshino have gone on a journey and visited Japan to see the areas that have been devastated by the Tree of Genesis. And basically the explanation, this is all the explanation of how to deal with, that Mahiro should deal with Yoshino. Because basically, as this explanation gets into it, you know, it's the explanation that she's fallen for him, and it makes sense because she's been sheltered her whole life due to the tree and due to the fact that she was head of the order. And her only misfortune came at the hands of Simone, and Samon, and he was the guy who saved her technically. And so it's no wonder she'd fall for him. But she kind of started to like him before that. So, but there's the issue of him having a girlfriend and all that. So one of the places they visit is the grave of Mahiro's sister. And there's even some jokes. She's like, so who is this guy that secretly dated Mahiro's sister, knowing he'd kill him if he ever found out, right? Who's that crazy fool, you know? And he's like, I'd tell you, but not right now. And they start going from place to place. At the same time, we have the Mage of Exodus. And again, even the, you know what? This Mage of Exodus, he isn't a bad guy. He's just a loser, you know? And he's looking to get a Mount Fuji because that's, if he truly is a Mage of Exodus, then obviously that's where he should be going. So basically Simone explains to him that that through some happenstance the princess has been taking Yoshino's views into account to make her decisions. And so basically, he controls how the princess will make her decision, because he can swear one way or the other. So, and Mahiro's like, so basically what you're saying is somehow Yoshino has been put in charge of the fate of the planet? And he's like, yeah. Now, what he doesn't tell him is their suspicions on him in general. They believe he could be a Mage of Exodus because his involvement made no sense when they've had the time to think about it, and his involvement makes no sense because if it's all done by the tree, the tree of Genesis, right? Mahiro, if what's his face wasn't there, Mahiro would have came to the conclusion that he still needed to get the princess and it was a tree. It was a mage of Exodus, meaning the princess never betrayed him. So if it was a mage of Exodus, he would have destroyed the tree and found some way to break the cage or whatever. But either way, the outcome would have been almost the same. But it wasn't, because this guy got involved and he freed the princess. But he freed the princess, but he stopped the tree from getting destroyed. Because more than likely the tree would have been destroyed by Mahiro. Because he was there, he stopped rash actions from happening. And he's like, the whole time, this kid, without, has been affecting things, and he's affecting the princess. So if he really is the Mage of Exodus, then he's the one who killed Ayaka, and they have to tell him. But at the same time, they're like, well, he hasn't shown any magic yet, so if he's accomplishing all this as a Mage of Exodus without even using magic, this is incredible. And we don't even know how the magic works with Exodus, because he was able to use talismans from the Tree of Genesis. Now, at the same time, what's funny is, so they asked Mahiro, what is he going to do? And Mahiro goes, listen, what about his girlfriend? Is his girlfriend okay? And they're like, we don't know who she is, but according to our information, she's alive and well. And in Mahiro's head, he's like, okay, as long as his girlfriend was still alive, there's nothing to worry about here, because I don't think he's plotting anything. So he agrees to take care of Yoshino, and he's like, alright, I guess I'll have to protect Yoshino too, on the assumption they find the Mage of Exodus that killed his sister. Now, Evangeline's in a tough spot here, because she knows the truth. She's the only one who knows the truth of who he was really dating, and the fact that his girlfriend's actually dead and was Yoshino's sister. So, when she thinks about it, she's like, I'll hold on to this secret a little longer. It may not be the right time to reveal this. So, there you go. But if Mahiro knew this, he would act rashly. But it would be worse because, but then he would also realize that his girlfriend isn't around, and he could have designs on this girl, not desires. So, and that happened before. So, then we get random chance, I guess, which isn't random chance, because each will of each tree are pushing these people together. And Yoshino runs into the Mage of Exodus. Now, he runs into the Mage of Exodus, he bumps into him, and the princess goes to the bathroom. Haga stays in the bathroom, and she's like, I'm dragging him around, and I wonder what his girlfriend's like, and, girly stuff, and she must be perfect, and all this junk. So, when she gets outside, she freaking drop kicks this poor kid in the face hard. And he's like, why did you do that? And she's like, what? He bothered me, so I got a bad vibe off him, so I kicked him in the face. What's wrong with that? He goes, I guess that's to be understood. Poor kid's like, what do you mean that should be understood? He explains that he wants to go to Mount Fuji. They're like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, have you ever heard of the Mages of Exodus? I heard the rumor on it. And basically, she's like, yeah, we know who started the rumor. He's like, great. What do you know about the Mage of Exodus? He goes, well, I think I am one. She goes, how? And then he produces the fireball again. And she's like, well, when did you get, they go out, they get some food, when did you get this power? And he's like, I got the power about a month ago, or about a year ago. And she's like, that's right when Simone was starting to make his plans and move forward. And he's like, and it's gotten stronger since the tree appeared. So I figured that's who I am. But I haven't really done much with it. And she's like, well, I'm a mage. You're not the only mage. I'm a mage to the other tree. And he's like, what? She goes, I tell you what. And then they go outside, they go run back to school, and she's like, I want to have a sparring match with you. And basically, he's like, yeah? she's like, well, if you win if you get me to drop down to one knee, and I'll answer any questions you have. But he goes, well, how do I know if I lose? And she goes, well, if your arm twists back the wrong way. He's like, what? And she's like, yeah, then you lose. And he goes, oh, okay. So they have the sparring match, and she creates a barrier. And out of the barrier comes these, like, tentacle hands that are attacking. And he eventually starts to use his magic. And he figures out, and she's pretty rough on this kid. Let me explain. She's been a bitch to him. She's pretty rough to him. Because she doesn't like him because obviously he's Exodus. And I guess this was all to try to push him to fight back. And that's what the kid figures out too, the Mage of Exodus. Because he realizes she's not really an enemy. And she's just testing his strength. So he finally fights back, and he obliterates her arm. He breaks the shield and destroys her right arm. I believe it's the right arm. It, like, obliterates and disintegrates. And both Yoshino and the Mage Exodus dude are shocked. And the Mage Exodus dude is like, oh man, he starts crying, man. He breaks down. He's, oh my god. Oh. He's like, I'm so, she's like, what? You don't think I have the ability to grow back my own arm? So she grew her arm back magically, and then she, like, used it and, like, hit him real hard with some magic. It'll take more than that to stop him at this level. And he falls down, and he actually breaks his arm. It does twist back the wrong way. And she's like, wow, his arm really did twist back the wrong way. She heals it, and he's knocked out. And she goes... Basically, she's like, well, this guy is a Mage of Exodus, but he doesn't have the heart of Exodus. There's no way this guy killed anybody. He doesn't have it in him. He's too gentle, which is true. Alright, and again, I've said this time and time again in my reviews. What I dig about this show is there are no villains in the show. We still don't know who killed the sister. I still think she was the Princess of Exodus. I really do. That's my personal guess. But we don't really know. We don't know any of this. We really don't. So it's just, and then even the first Mage of Exodus we meet, he's not a bad dude. So no villains in the show. I really like that. Just people with opposing points of view. And people not sure which way to move forward. It's sort of like an effed up version of the political process, you know what I mean? And I find, even now that if we're gonna go that analogy, the red and the red and the blue as the two colors of the powers, but whatever. And so the episode ends with, just as they're debating, the other group is debating on he could be the Mage of Exodus, and Evangeline gets a call from Yoshino who says, we gotta go meet with them. They have the Mage of Exodus, and everybody's shocked, and that's how the episode ends. I really, really like this episode. There was some action in it with the sparring. And let me explain something about this episode and this series in general. A lot of times, when a series gets intellectual on figuring out motives and figuring out what's going on and having characters explain this and explaining subplot and plot, I don't know, a lot of exposition, right? There's a danger, and I've seen this with a bunch of anime in the past, where there's just too much talking. And it's like, oh, well, you see, I know because you did this and you did that I now know that you did this. But because you did this, I knew that you didn't know that I did this. And then you get into that level where you're just over-explaining things. And you even state the obvious. And it's not good. And then you kill the pacing, you kill the momentum of the story, it becomes boring. And where you're trying to engage people mentally, you lose them. They just lose the attention span, and then it becomes gibberish because it's too much. But this show, the balance is right, especially in this episode. This episode, there was a little bit of action, a lot of exposition, but the exposition and the pacing, I guess because they were constantly moving through the episode, was good. And they're always explaining stuff, and you're always getting little nuggets of knowledge, but it's just the right amount of information delivered in the right amount of way. And even when people are overthinking things, so to speak, in the anime, and trying to understand people's motives, it doesn't come across as overdone. And because of this, it's still good. And the pacing is good. So that's what I really like about this anime. That there's that talking, there's that exposition, but the pacing isn't ruined by it, and it's not one of the ones that get overdone. And it's very hard to find that balance, and they've achieved that thus far with this anime. So this episode is a solid episode. It was better than last week's. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. So it was a very good episode. We got a lot. You know, we were left with a cliffhanger again. You know, what's going on with that mage, and is Yoshino a mage of Exodus, or the mage of Exodus? I don't know, but all this stuff is very interesting questions, and you know, I look forward. Again, the series has caught me. They gave us a new intro and opening. I believe they did that last episode. I preferred the old one, but this one, there's a lot of interesting stuff in that intro, so that's cool. There was some dude with a mask, and who knows when that's going to happen. But, yeah, I'm liking it. So, again, you know, so I think that's it. That's all I got to say about this episode. So click it up if you like it. Comment if you must, and subscribe if you can. And this is your buddy alertwolf signing off. Oh, wait. One more thing before I sign out. So I'm currently watching the new animes for this season, for the seasonal animes. I haven't chosen yet, and I know most of these animes are on the second episode, but when I do choose one or two to do, and I always will take your suggestions, so if you feel free to leave me one, I'll put it up, and I'll do review, even though we're about on episode 2, week 2 here. I'll do a review for the first episode as well. They'll just be back to back. So, alright, man. And again, this is me signing out all over again.